Hello, welcome back to the Squiggly Cactus Show. This is episode number 7. I am taping this on 2/12/23. This is Super Bowl Sunday. Today we'll be talking about the Super Bowl. As stated, it's Super Bowl Sunday. And then we'll be covering women's college basketball as we have number 1 South Carolina hosting number 3 LSU. They're both undefeated, tied for first place in the SEC. It's gonna be a really good game. Got two of the best players in the country playing. It's gonna be a phenomenal game, and I'm really looking forward to this game more than I am the Super Bowl. So just to break down, we'll just start kind of comparing the two teams. Like I said, they're both undefeated. There's not a big difference in, who they played and whatnot because they're both in the SEC. So neither team's played like a bunch of different ranked teams in the non-conference. They both played a couple of ranked teams so far in SEC play. South Carolina did play UCLA, who was number 15 at the time, and they did beat them early in the year in November. But other than that, then they played UConn, who was number 5. So, they have a couple more games on their schedule that, obviously LSU didn't have, with LSU not being, I think they were like number 10 at the end of last year, something like that. So, they haven't had the good luck of playing non-conference ranked teams. The only team that LSU's played that was ranked was Arkansas, who was number 24, and that was December 29th. And then they turned around to play them on January 19th, and Arkansas wasn't ranked then. Just comparing these two players, we got Angel Reese and Aaliyah Boston. Angel Reese is a forward for LSU, and Aaliyah Boston is a forward for South Carolina. Aaliyah Boston 6'5". Angel Reese is 6'3". I did not think she was that tall, but 6'3". Angel Reese is my pick for if I had a choice, which obviously my opinion doesn't matter, but I think Angel Reese should be Player of the Year. She averages 23, 15, and 2, shoots 54% from the field. Aaliyah Boston's 13, 10, and 1, shoots 58% from the field, but she doesn't stretch the floor quite as much as Angel does. Angel is a very passionate player too. She plays with a lot of grit. She's tough. She plays really hard. Aaliyah Boston does as well. Aaliyah Boston is actually the reigning Naismith Women's College Player of the Year. She won last year in 2022, and she is coached by a former Naismith Player of the Year too, in Dawn Staley, who played at Virginia in 91 and 92. And that she has all the tools to be helped to know what to do and how to get that. But like I said, Angel Reese, I just think she's a little bit better this year. And that's not saying Aaliyah Boston isn't great, but just if you compare nearly in every single game that LSU plays, Reese is their leading scorer. In SEC play, there's only been 3 games where she wasn't the leading scorer. So that's kind of a crazy fact. And then if you look at South Carolina, Boston's not the leading scorer. She's probably about the leading scorer about 50% of the time. Like I said, she only averages 13 points. Well, I say only, but she averages 13 points compared to Angel Reese averaging 23.5. So, if you're comparing just by statistically, Angel Reese is probably the better player. Who helps her team more? I don't know. LSU depends on Angel Reese to be that scorer, to be, the leading scorer every night, where South Carolina does not, but they do depend on her to get them rebounds. She gets 10 rebounds a night. That's pretty well, because South Carolina shoots the ball pretty well as a team, and for the fact that she still gets 10 rebounds a game is kind of crazy. And she also gets 2 blocks a game. Aaliyah Boston gets 2 blocks a game. She's just an all-around player. I haven't watched them play this year. I watched them play quite a bit last year, and I was really impressed with her. I've watched LSU a couple times this year, and every game that I watch, Angel Reese is a really big factor in that. And when you're getting 23 and 15, you're going to be a big factor no matter what. But just looking kind of down the stat line here, Aaliyah Boston isn't even really all around. She's the best player, but productivity wise, she's not the best player on offense on her team. That's Zia Cook. Zia Cook is a guard. She scores 14 points a game. And then LSU, they have other people that scored double digits tonight too, so they have a lot of action right at the top. Whereas South Carolina is a little more spread out, and they kind of play a little bit more people, and they really rely on the whole team to kind of score and do that for them. So I'm really excited about today's game. I think it's gonna be a great game. They have South Carolina to win by 11.5. I think it's gonna be a closer game than that. I really want LSU to win. I like LSU quite a bit, but I just don't know if LSU can. At South Carolina, it's gonna be a hard place to play. South Carolina really shows up for their women's basketball, and rightfully so. But I just wanted to cover that a little bit. And then whenever I was doing a little research on this game and everything, I found that last year the coaches kind of had not really a debacle or anything like that, but Don Staley had some comments about Kim Mulkey, who's the head coach at LSU. And both coaches were really good players. Don Staley played in the WNBA in the earliest days, and she's a really good ball player, and so was Kim. Unfortunately for Kim, though, she got into coaching before the WNBA was really a thing. Just kind of the way the cards played out for her. She played in a couple Division I tournaments and stuff like that. NCAA tournaments, and then like the NIT of the women's. And then she played for USA Basketball overseas in the Pan American Games, stuff like that. And then just comparing the two coaches, really, this is probably two of the best coaches in the league. Stanford's got a really good coach. UConn's got a really good coach. But if there's 5 great coaches in women's college basketball, these are 2 of the top 5, I would say. And I'm not saying that there's only just 5, but I'm just for instance. Dawn Staley had said last year that she felt like the fans did more, pretty much just bad summarization here. The fans did a lot more to help Kim Mulkey out than they did their previous head coach. But Kim Mulkey, she just brings, she was at Baylor for 21 years. She's been coach of the year twice, 7-time Big 12 coach of the year while at Baylor. She was a really great coach. She had Brittany Griner on her team. She made it to the Final Four 4 times. I just don't know how you could say anything like that. I think Dawn Staley was just I think the other lady's name is Nikki. I think her and Nikki might be friends or something like that. And I could see how it could be upsetting because you see your friend struggle, and then Kim comes in and, everybody starts to support Kim, and you kind of wonder where that's been the whole time. But moving past that little debacle they had, we get into the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl should be pretty good this year. I think it's going to be one of the better ones that we have seen in a while. It's really hard to say, though, because the Chiefs, they lost a little bit of talent last year, but they're still here. They're still in the running. They have a really potent offense. Their defense is really going to step up today to stop Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is just a dog at a quarterback. I guess you could say both of these two are MVP caliber quarterbacks because Patrick Mahomes won the MVP. Jalen Hurts was in the running for it as well. So with that being said, I'm going to spend a whole bunch of time on this. We all know what Patrick Mahomes is. He's the best QB in the league right now. He's probably 1A, 1B, 2A. He's all of it. There's a large gap between him and whoever's next. He's had a really good season. He's proved a lot of people wrong, and I think he might do that again today. But I really hope. I'm going to pick the Eagles in this. I really like the way that I think their defense is just a little bit better than the Chiefs' defense, and I think that's what it's going to come down to is who can stop who. And I think that got some really good lockdown corners on the outside. You got Darius, big play Slay, and you got James Bradbury. And then, their defensive line is no joke. And then back to the offensive side, you got Jalen Hurts, you got Devontae Smith, you got A.J. Brown, you've got Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, who's been really playing great here lately. In the playoffs, he's been really good for him. I just think that they're going to be a little much, and their offensive line is really, really deadly. It's hard to get past that offensive line. In the Bengals game, Chris Jones was getting a lot of pressure on Burrow, and I just don't think that the Chiefs' defensive line is going to be able to get that pressure today. And I think that we're going to see one or two things are going to happen with me saying that. It's either the secondary is going to step up and prove me wrong, and that they can hold their own, or they're going to get burned because they can't get the pass rush in, and they're going to give Jalen Hurts too much time. And then that brings up another point. You got to stop Jalen Hurts from running the ball. Jalen Hurts is one of the best running quarterbacks we've seen, in the past couple of years. He's he's kind of a bigger bodied guy, but he's just an all around athlete. He's fast, he's tough, he's physical, 6'1", 223. He's not a small guy. He's not easy to tackle. He will take a hit. Coming off an injury towards the end of the season, I don't know how much they're going to run him, especially in the first half, but I could see him running quite a bit in the second half. And then Dallas Goedert comes back at tight end. Dallas Goedert's a really great player at tight end. Kind of a bigger guy, 265, 256. He plays the sport really well. I'm a big fan of Dallas Goedert. I like the way that the Eagles play football. And then comparing tight ends, you got Travis Kelce on the other side, 6'5", 250, just a beast, big guy. He runs like a receiver. You know what I mean? Just physical. Who you gonna put on him? You know what I mean? And then, like to mention, this is kind of the Kelce Bowl. You got Jason and Travis playing against each other. The only other time I can think of anything like this is when the Harbaugh brothers coached against each other. I think it was in 2012, I think. Don't quote me on that one. But when the lights went out in New Orleans and everybody said Drew Brees turned them off, I really think that this is going to be the best Super Bowl we've seen in a while. Like I said, it could be a shootout or it could be a defensive game. I think either way it's going to be a close game. I don't see it being, extremely like a blowout or anything like that. I think it's going to be really, really close throughout. And, I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. They have Philly as a favorite by 1.5 points. I think that's a pretty good line. They're both 14-3. A lot of people are really liking the Chiefs. I really like the Eagles. Like I said, this should be a really great game. The spread is phenomenally close. The money line's even really close too. The over/under is 51. I would bet the under here. I mean, that's 26-25 theoretically, or I guess it'd be 27-24. I mean, I can see a 27-24 game or something like that here, or 21-24 game. I could see that 21-24. That's what I'll say. 21-24. Bet the under. Bet the spread on the Eagles. This should be a phenomenal game, as I've said multiple times. That's going to be it for today. That's kind of all I have going. I'll try to get another podcast in sometime next week. I've just been really back and forth, kind of all over the place, and kind of just put this on the back burner. But I really appreciate everybody that watches this, tunes in. Leave a comment, leave a like. Let me know what you might want to hear. Also, I'm looking for some podcast guests, so if that's something you might be interested in, let me know. And I'll see y'all next time. Thank you.